Welcome to Hanging with the Hooligans. But truly today, we are missing the homies and the video. Isn't that right, Alex?
Yes, we are.
We ran
I
in.
never didn't think we'd be doing this live today, but
Yeah.
we had a little audio issue with our last two recorded episodes, so we're starting again.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just super addicted to streaming, so I was like, we have to do this now. yeah.
Hey man, I'm in.
I'm a little nervous. I feel like, at any moment someone can come in and it's like almost like someone catches us in the act.
Like we're gonna get caught on your stream.
Yeah. Well, like I said, yeah, there's always like, a few people, but not too many, luckily. I just started out. So
Hmm.
if any time to do.
Hey man, if people join in, it'll be fun. We'll be able to talk to people for the first time on here.
Yeah. And
Well,
then,
for the podcast.
right. Well, um, we might as well start with talking about, well, a few of the things that we remember from the last episode, which was like, we were missing James for starters
Yep.
because he's in Iowa with just Heaven, right?
I believe his whole family's there.
His whole family. Okay, so the whole family's in Iowa
Yeah.
doing a robotics. Like it sounds international, because he said Kazakhstan was there.
Right.
So
Yeah, he set up people from all sorts of different countries.
yeah, a couple other countries. Not like it was. I guess it's not supposed to be the internationals, but yeah, there was other countries there, and
Places like Russia were like, we're gonna send teams. We don't care.
yeah,
We're the Russian team.
yeah, they're like we're gonna interfere in this robotics competition. I'd like to know where they placed because uh our team placed what seventh in the smaller league and like 13th overall.
Yes, I want to say that was what they got.
Yeah, I shouldn't say smaller league. James had the right terminology for it, and I'll pull it up while we're talking. And then
Right.
unfortunately, Doug was the Doug was with us, and according to you, it was his audio that was mostly pretty corrupted. I couldn't tell who was who in their recording. So
You and I were coming off the clearest, but it was like we were recording in a garbage can. It was the audio was just bad overall. I kind of wonder if maybe the mic wasn't plugged in all the way or something, but it
yeah,
seems to be working all right now. I haven't really messed with it.
right. Yeah, you're coming off clear right now. So what I think,
Okay.
let's just blame Doug. He's not here. He can't defend himself.
Eh, nope. Nope. Well, I can't blame him. His audio errors happen. You know,
Yeah,
it's
and also we're
kind of
technically
sucks.
missing
I
him.
felt like those last episodes were actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, that was like the evidence of like a lack of structure can work, but you know, it it's almost like the proof isn't really there because lack of structure led here, I guess. So
Right, right.
apparently, it was seventh in the division, 13th in nation. So
That's huge.
yeah, what is the team's called? Something Ninjas or just Ninjas?
Ninja bots.
Ninja Bots. There we go. Congrats, Ninja Bots, for
Yeah,
you
no
know,
kidding. That's amazing, guys. So proud of you guys.
yep, real good. And then
I it's crazy. Like you and I didn't have that opportunity going to the schools we went to. Like I'm sure you and I probably would have loved doing something like that. I don't know if we'd be very good at it, but opportunities we just didn't have. It's cool to see the kiddo enjoy it so much and do so well.
yeah, I mean, we were pretty tunnel visioned on our own goals
We were.
which was music at the time. So I mean, when we were at our first high school, uh, I was in the like automotive class, and they did the whole like drag race high reality show. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And it's like, yeah, that
That's a
that
while
school,
ago.
I guess, had some opportunities to do cool things, and
Yeah,
um,
but it was just mostly football. Seemed like
that's where they throw them
like
the most of the money for sure.
yeah.
Um, Come to think of it, is something that I did not really pay attention to, but like the marching band with me and Aaron were in, we
Yeah.
got we got pretty far in some competition. I don't think we hit nationals or anything like that, but we might have, because like I remember there was a big competition we did, and we had done pretty good. Um, but you know, at the same time, that was just like a means to an end at the time, really, because we were just trying to learn everything
Right.
we could about music and get
Hmm.
better, and which brings me to like the point of like we've never, I think, other than the first episode we recorded and ultimately didn't release, we didn't really
Hmm.
talk about like what hooligan media is really, or you know who our
Right.
background in that. So I think this is the perfect time to do it since it's just you and me too.
Well, I wonder if we all view it kind of differently too. Like I know I have my goals. I'm sure you have your goals. Um, it's just I want to do something with my friends, right? It's I miss that about being in and out of bands. There was always that camaraderie there. Always had good times. We were always learning together, doing something different.
Yeah,
And if we can do that here, whether it be a podcast or we're streaming video games or just doing live streams, doing Q&As, something. I don't know.
yeah,
We can use it anywhere. That's why it's we're going with the hooligan media thing. I think is so it's we don't just put ourselves in one spot. Like going to music, I would love to do interviews with local bands in San Diego, just kind of give back to that community a little bit, and maybe we can do it maybe over the country, elsewhere in the country. That'd be really cool.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think a big part to really point out too is like the origins of it did come from our musical background, and
Yeah,
our desire to build a community or embolden the community, because we came from the heavy hardcore scene,
yeah,
and you know from there we really wanted to uh keep shows going, and you know get people going to more shows and stuff, especially because like there was a slow period in the middle of like 2013, 2014, where
right.
there was a lot of local shows where you know there'd be like 100, 200 people there or whatever, but not a lot of people in the room at certain times, and maybe like,
Yeah, people hanging out in the lobby,
yeah, smoke lounge and
stuff
stuff
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's important to acknowledge, I think, that like the name of like the hooligan squad and all that is brought in that origin, and we've carried that
yeah,
name into.
yeah. There's
Oh, I dropped something, so I was reaching for
oh, okay.
it. Yeah, we carried that name into like the hooligan media idea, and then yeah, brought it from brought it into a larger thing, especially now that we're into more stuff. We're not trying to do the whole tunnel vision thing anymore,
Hmm.
which is
Well, it's one of those things when you get older, your eyes start opening up to more possibilities. You're not so focused on one thing, or at least that's the way I'm seeming to be as I'm getting older. It's a little easier to focus on multiple things at once. I think if that makes sense. Did I make sense?
yeah. No, I get what you mean. I just know that like after you know uh after the band thing, I realized like I spent so many years on it, and I was
Mm,
like, uh, there was other things I wanted to do, and I've always been, or I always had at that point been kind of pushing that stuff out of the way, and it was just like a side interest, and like that was my life, you know.
right. Well, you kind of got burned a little bit. You know,
Y-
it's
yeah, but there was really a road where I was at because when I got kicked out of ITN, the band I used to be in,
mm,
um, you
Impale My
know,
Neighbor for anyone that is interested.
yeah, yeah, still on YouTube and Spotify for sure. But
Hmm.
yeah, they're like I had offers to be in other bands and stuff, and I just remember at that point I was like, you know, um, I was kind of wanting to get more into the writing thing, which really was just a side interest. That was something I was doing at my security job that while I was bored just to get through the
Right.
day. But it started being something where I was like, let's explore this more, and you know now here we are, you know, trying to get this kind of thing started, and you know,
Hmm.
uh,
Right.
yeah, we're this is planting the seeds for who knows what. And now we have
Hmm.
James and Doug on the podcast, and I mean we have more friends outside of this and stuff that we want to build up
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
with.
we had a pretty decent sized group of hooligans, if you want to call us that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, there are a lot more of us. So it would be nice to include them on the show.
Yeah, or in other aspects of the whole hooligan
Yeah,
media thing. That's why you
wherever
know
we want to go with it.
yeah,
You know, it's like telling Doug you want to stream, fucking stream. We just put it on YouTube or wherever we're gonna put it. But it's all of our collective endeavors.
right, yep, and that's it's interesting too because there's so many more people that have other interests that I mean whether they took it as seriously or not or haven't gotten started yet, we've been trying to encourage them. That even includes like distant friends wanting to do more with the music thing or go further with the music thing, or
Hmm.
um I mean the content thing. I got so many people want to do the content just in general,
Right.
but you know that's that's how we got here, and you know that brings us into the where we are now, which might as well bring up more of the stuff that we were talking about in the other episodes. It's rough because we don't, of course we're missing the homies, we're missing Doug. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're definitely missing two really strong personalities in this podcast. That so their presence not being here is very felt.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah, that doesn't mean, there aren't things to discuss. Like we did say that well, I didn't watch it. Did you watch the new X-Men show yet?
I haven't watched it yet. No,
Okay, neither have I. But I did see people are already bitching about it. You ready for this?
I heard something about Jean Grey being pregnant or something. That's about it.
No.
Why are people pissed off?
I saw that people were complaining because Gambit wears a crop top, and that seems gay.
What year is it?
Yeah, they're like, you're making Gambit gay, and I'm like, first of all, that show I'm pretty sure is supposed to take place in '97, where crop tops, aren't gay. And
Right.
then, and for another thing, like the whole idea of the X Men is like a big allegory for like the civil rights movement, which includes gay people, like
Exactly.
especially in that era, like the '93 era and stuff. Like
Well,
because
I mean, even if the character is gay, does it really change all that much? Like, you still like the base character, right? He's a charismatic dude. He's fun to he's fun to watch. Usually has something good to say.
yeah, Jace sent
I
me this thing that this guy was saying. He was like, his costume is literally bisexual lighting. And then he said that he if he touches his girlfriend, he'll lose his powers, and his powers are touching pink things and making them glow pink and explode. And the more I thought about that, yeah, Gambit does sound pretty gay, just in general. So,
yeah, yeah. I guess I can. I
although
guess I can see that a little bit, but
yeah, although that does bring me to another point. Was Rogue his girlfriend? Because like when I heard that, I was like, what?
I don't know, man. Like, read a comic book long enough, everyone's hooked up eventually.
Yeah, there's too many canon whatevers, and I'm just like, I don't know if that was right, but
Well,
okay.
well, that's another thing, man. Is like you really want to read the same story over and over and over and over again. Like, all right, maybe making that character gay makes the character a little more fucking interesting because it's not something that they've been doing for 40, 50 years.
Yeah, it's just like
Like,
how some people are just like, oh yeah, time to see this guy do the same exact arc again in this movie. Otherwise, I'll be really mad if it's anything is different.
yeah.
Which I mean, I'm definitely there with some characters. Like, if you veer too far away from things like with Wolverine, I'll probably be a little annoyed. But
Yeah,
it depends how
yeah,
you're changing things up too. Because like the way they changed things up in Days of Futures Past, I was like, what was that? What was that supposed to be?
mhm. Well, I mean, if you want to think about it, like there, we are getting to that point. I'm not. This isn't breaking news or anything, but you know, keeping Magneto a character, they're gonna have to change his origin sooner or later because he's getting a little too decrepit in the age area to realistically make sense to be from World War II and still be throwing shit around like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've definitely talked
Like,
about this so many times too. Where
ugh,
yeah, everyone's like, well, you can't pull him away from his character origin. It's like, but there's things that are relevant, like genocidal things, and that's why like apartheid, South Africa, you know, is a good alternative. And I mean, it would be a lot more of a big statement to do a much younger Magneto with like Palestine, but you know, I don't think they'll do that. But
yeah,
like,
that seems a little more risky too.
yeah, well, especially the amount of people that are. Well, no, when people look back, especially in hindsight, there's always going to be people who are like on the wrong side of history just for siding with the boot, you know.
Right.
But that's like a huge thing, and it all in itself too. Like, hey, so when you were, a teenager or a kid, and you saw those black people going to the university, were you mad about that, or would because that's what I wonder. Like, and of course, I never brought that up to like my grandma or anything like that.
hmm
But it makes you wonder, like, our grandparents and parents, like, what side of history were you guys on when it comes to this stuff?
Well, it's so weird because like yeah, it was a long time ago, but it also really wasn't that long ago. Like people like to act like it was a couple hundred years ago where we were dealing with segregation and shit. It's like no, that was pretty much yesterday, and like when we're talking time anyway.
Yeah,
Like people are alive that remember seeing that or participating or being hit with it, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
It's not something that was that long ago.
yeah, I'm pretty sure people experience the Jim Crow South too and are like the oldest of
Yeah.
the old.
Yeah, well, shit, man. We have people in office that were calling people monkeys. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I forgot what
Like,
Joe.
I'm pretty sure Biden said that or something.
Oh, Joe
Calling it a
Biden.
jungle.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want my kids to be in the ethnic jungle or whatever. That's why I
Yeah.
wasn't surprised when he did the whole speech recently and he was like, I'll call them what they are, illegals. And it's like,
Oof.
yeah, you fucking you let the mask slip, you fucking idiot.
Mm.
But
Uh,
I mean, that's why people. That's why a lot of people just don't like people that age too. So there's that assumption. I think a lot of people do. Like, yeah, you were on the wrong side of history, but
right.
there are plenty of people who were not. Like, plenty of people who were like counterculture people. Like, it's crazy because you think, I know all of my grandparents that well, I have three grandfathers. My step grandfather, all of them answered the draft and went. But there's so many people that protested and so many people that hated the people that came back from Vietnam and stuff. And that's like, okay, well, a lot of those people, like, history looks at those people like they're assholes. But I mean, when it comes to people who are objectively right about, like, not going to that war and stuff, like, yeah, they were on the right side of history. That doesn't mean my
Mm-hmm.
grandparents were wrong, however, because, like, not everyone's willing to go to fucking jail. Eh, or has the privilege of, like, Donald Trump, for example, to be like, oh, I can't go, I have bone spurs, and, which probably fucking just paid off a doctor to say that when he was younger or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you can also get bone spurs removed.
Yeah.
I've had them removed, and my arms are working. Granted, I'm not probably not gonna be chipping out or anything,
Yeah. Oh,
but I don't know.
that's the crazy thing too, is like, people talk about the draft all the time, and it's like, that's crazy because, like, you and I think are at the end of that window.
Right. I also wonder if they'd even take me just how I am physically.
No, I don't think they'd take me. But I mean, it also depends how fucking desperate they are. They're like, yeah, well, we still need, cooks and mechanics and all sorts of shit.
Yeah. Well, I think they. I think the way it was explained to me is they'd be taking uh, vets back, like not the ones that are like really old or anything, but the guys that are still physically able that have been through it.
Yeah,
You know,
the the good
I don't
old
think they're gonna be going for us anytime soon, but they'd be taking those guys first.
yeah.
I think.
Well, we don't even know the next theater of war. People are definitely speculating.
People, people have been ready for it forever.
Yeah,
Just like they're ready for any sort of doomsday. Like I heard something about an eclipse that's gonna happen, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be end times." It's like, all right, dude. I have heard that maybe 6 or 7 times just in my lifetime, and I'm only about to turn 30. I haven't been on this planet that long compared to some people, and I've already experienced that much. And guess what? We're still here.
even worse. We, like, went through a situation that definitely was deemed apocalyptic, and, like, so many of the things they said, like, the supply chain failing and stuff like that, didn't happen. Instead, we saw that that stuff takes longer to happen
Yeah.
than, like, the initial event. So,
Mm-hmm. And what
now,
did we learn? They care more about toilet paper than anything else.
yeah. Well, I remember the powdered milk and a lot of the other stuff was gone later, but yeah, the toilet paper was the first thing that was gone.
Uh, Motherfuckers made me buy it. I ended up having to buy a bidet.
Yeah, look at you making it.
I just I find that shit ridiculous. I don't know.
The bidet.
No, just we're gonna grab up all the fucking toilet paper. It's like I realize there's a possibility of something actually happening at some point, but all the toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, it was crazy too because like the same people that uh are like weird fucking crypto NFT guys. There's a few of those guys trying to scalp like toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and stuff like that to
Yeah.
make money. And I know one case it was in the news where a guy got busted, and they're like, "Nope, you got to give that shit away. Like, give that shit away or go to jail."
That sounds a little much. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like the moral part of it, sure, but
Are
I
you?
don't know.
See,
I don't know.
there.
How do
I
you feel on
mean,
that?
no, that guy was definitely in the wrong, especially in the case of like there is a free market, sure, because like that guy was, just trying to benefit from a movement in the market that he saw. But it's the same way people will tell you like landlords are corrupt or whatever. Like that guy was doing something where he was almost in a way trying to control the water pump for some people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say, if people didn't get toilet paper because of them, they probably figured out, they could just wash their ass with water, you know.
Right.
There
Right.
are still plenty of opportunities. Now, if the water had gone, that would have changed things. Yes, that
Mm.
was like the next step of things that like people were worried about is like the infrastructure failing, and what do you know? The infrastructure didn't fail, but I mean, we still saw quite an influx of issues, like with the lack of employment after that. Do you remember that? Like everywhere, the whole nobody wants to work anymore scam.
Yep.
Which I mean, fuck, it sucks. Both you and I did not get to benefit in any way from any lockdown or unemployment or anything.
No, we were. Oh God, I didn't remember the term anymore.
uh,
We were
Essential or
humanitarian
whatever.
essential workers. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep.
yeah, gosh, man, the amount of people that were doing like diaries on Facebook. I've mentioned this before. I don't know on the pod if it was on the podcast or not, where people were literally like writing on Facebook like it was day one of the lockdown, and it was like,
Well, you want to know something that's really fucking crazy that I went through in regards to that? So I worked at a hospital at the start of COVID. I was the one that cleaned the lab where COVID was. We weren't wearing masks for probably 5 or 6 months, and I was in there cleaning that shit
yep,
constantly. And I was deemed an essential worker, which means to me, hey, I should probably get a fucking mask, right? If I'm essential, I'm putting my health on the line, and not protecting me. And I don't know. That really put a fucking sour taste in my mouth for the medical industry. Like I
well,
already have one, but Jesus.
not just that, but specifically that company. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the CEO did get fired years later for going on a fucking unhinged rant about being an anti-vaxxer and anti-masker. So it makes sense that you weren't really prioritized in health, even at a what do you call it? Even in a healthy skeptical way, because like
Mm-hmm.
plenty of our friends who are weirdo anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers and stuff like that, like I understand some level of their skepticism, especially in the beginning when the CDC was like, "Hey, don't do what you guys are doing. It's not effective at all." But the
Mm-hmm.
the thing that pisses me off about it, it's like, can you guys not read? Because I read It's quite simply that they're like in no shortage of words. Hey, things are really desperate, so like just do whatever you can to try not to get it. That's why you should wear masks, because it's a chance that you might not get it. And people were
Right.
like just so fucking stupid about it, so like
Huh. Well,
batshit.
it was either it's 100% or it's not.
Yeah,
Right? It's either gonna help 100% or it's not. And people just kind of hung on to the black and white of it all. It just I don't know. Like I hate to say we're lucky, but we got kind of lucky with what we got. It could have been so much worse because people didn't fucking listen.
no,
And I'm of the mind if you're sick and you decide to go out in public, whether it's COVID or not, I think the common courtesy would be to wear a mask so you don't get people sick.
yeah, and because everyone's racist, you could point to China, and that's people will always point to China. It's like they've done that for years, and people talk shit, and
Then,
people will still talk shit and be like, well, I'm not gonna do that. This isn't fucking China, So,
mm-hmm. You
but
can't tell me what to do.
yeah, like we live in a endemic world for COVID now, and
Yeah.
I do see people that were or are anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. I've seen a few of them masking up when necessary, which
Mm-hmm.
shows that there is an element of like courtesy happening now, which I respect
Right.
because like, you know, I used to be that way too, where if I was sick, I would just go to work because I can't afford to take time off, you know.
Right.
And I think the pandemic actually really did change that for me, where I was like, no, fuck it. Like, not only do I want to not endanger all the old people I work with and people that are like, there's a special word for it, pretty much susceptible to possibly dying of COVID.
Right.
You know,
Well, it doesn't even need to go that far. If I'm sick, I don't want to get you sick.
yeah.
It's it's I don't know.
But the reason you shouldn't want to get people sick, not only just to not convenience them, but something that is minor cold to you could kill somebody's grandma. You know,
Right.
that's the world we
Totally.
live in now because it's not just because everyone you're hearing it because it happened to me last year where I felt I was gonna fucking die. I don't know what virus I had or whatever, and then I got pneumonia. And then this year, I hear a lot of people saying, "Man, that flu or whatever it was really hit me." And it's like, yeah, well, for plenty of people, I think they did get COVID and didn't know because they were the kind of people to never know or care. But also, like,
Right.
yeah, we live in that kind of world now where the superbug is evolving because
Mm-hmm.
there's another virus out there that's a highly uh adaptive virus. So I feel like, you know, that's the endemic world we live in where there's just going to be those sicknesses around now. And now it's like necessary to possibly get like flu shots and stuff. Something like, I mean, I still don't do that, but now I
Yep.
at least consider it where I'm like, shit, maybe I should, you know?
Right.
Like, I never got my booster or whatever for COVID either after they said, like, hey, you got your two shots, but now a third one might be necessary for this variant or whatever. I just
Mm-hmm.
I never took the time to, and I've been lucky not to run into
Right.
COVID ever since that the first time I did, and it was just like my sinus felt on fire. It felt like it was just almost like I had really bad allergies. It was a very minor thing.
Right. Yeah. To my knowledge, I mean, I could have had it and just didn't have any symptoms, but to my knowledge, I have yet to have gotten COVID.
Yeah.
I I kind of keep to myself for the most part, but I do work in a place where I come across a lot of people, so I might just be one of the lucky ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
You're also possibly on the front line for like, some scary mad cow disease or something, some swine flu.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess technically
We got
before
the
you, there's,
prions over here.
yeah, you got the fucking slaughterhouse workers before you, but
hmm But oh man, I wish I knew how to talk to people that I'm not close to about this stuff because you hear some pretty disturbing stuff from some people, and it's hard not to want to engage with it. But
yeah.
at this point, I feel like all it's doing is driving it further into them, making them just double down on it, and I don't want that.
Oh,
You know,
I
I
think
don't know.
I think there's a few people I've made an impact on in our town or our
Yeah.
community where put giving some pushback actually like you know did something, and one of the it sucks because it's like, of course, um I think the two main things was like people and their like distaste or despise pretty much their hatred of like illegal immigrants, because where we live it's like, why are you complaining about this? Like, where I
Right.
come from, we actually had to deal with illegal immigrants, and guess what? They're great people. So like, shut the
Uh huh.
fuck up, you know. But
Yeah. Well, you hear that shit. They're all rapists and murderers. And it's like, dude, we kill people in our country more than any of them are killing it,
yeah, the people.
and we don't even care. We
eh,
don't even care that we kill people in our own country. People act like they do.
oh no, whenever people kill someone else in our, there's mass shooting or whatever, they're like, we should really do something about their mental health because that's what did it. And it's like, what the fuck, you know. What why don't you put that energy when you hear about what's going on with these supposed rapists and murderers that you're talking about,
Right.
which
Because I've 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 worked in a jail. Like you come across those people, and guess what? Most of those people are all from this town.
yep.
It's not your person who's coming to this country just trying to get a better life for themselves and their families. That's not the person that you're seeing.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
saying that I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I've seen it more personally personally with locals and someone that's coming into this town. If
yeah.
that makes sense. If I made sense.
And I mean, I hate that. Like, I've heard this so many times in debates and stuff, but I never remember like the source of the empirical data. But yeah, there is empirical data basically that like, you know, illegal immigrants come here and don't take jobs and
Mm-hmm.
benefit the economy and do not cause crime. Especially
Right.
when you look at, because you could think about it in a very logical way to be like, hey, um, if you come from a country where not only is it like your currency isn't worth anything, but also there's dangerous people that you're afraid of that like, can kill you, and your police can extort you, and all sorts of stuff like that. And you have a chance to go to the neighboring country which has a currency that's worth a lot more, and there's you know plenty of work for you and stuff like that. Why would you want to
Mm-hmm.
throw it away being a fucking criminal versus someone who was already born here and so like doesn't have the same appreciation for what they're given,
Mm-hmm.
and sees their job, their everyday job or whatever, as a dead end job, and might think it might be a day away from just fucking and throwing their whole life away because they don't come from that. They weren't afraid of the cartel, they never met the cartel. Their problems fucking stupid Bruce, who's their supervisor or whatever, making them stressed about work or whatever, and their wife is cheating on them or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
of course it makes more sense that the illegal immigrant's probably not gonna be in this like predisposed to crime versus that guy who had that one extra bad day and said fuck it, you know
Eh,
fuck it, I'm gonna get drunk and drive, fuck it, I'm gonna go shoot this guy, whatever.
right. Well, if I'm coming to another country for a better life, I am not gonna be trying to do things that are gonna put me up on the radar. I'm gonna be keeping things on the DL, trying to live how I can. At the end of the day, we're just fucking people trying to live.
Yep. I mean, yeah, those people,
I,
they want to start families, they want to
hmm
they want to send money back, there's a lot more on the line than just them
Well,
too,
well, when you advertise your country as a place for where your dreams can come true, right? Where you can have that better life, and we do advertise that like a motherfucker. Of course, people are gonna want to come here. This land of opportunity is only for the people that are born here, and it's like being like, I got this shiny new bike, I'm gonna ride it around in front of you, but you can't ride it.
Yeah, you can't get a
it
bike like it, even though
uh-uh.
it's totally possible. There's the room, and there's other bikes.
hmm
No,
and you
because
have to come up with shitty reasons for why those people can't.
yeah, they're like they're gonna take my bike, and it's like, no, you already
Yeah.
have your bike. They're just trying to get
Ooh,
their
you're
own.
gonna take my job. Ooh. No, your job was automated away, dumbass.
Yeah.
Look at the grocery store. It's not that fucking hard. This is a small town we live in. Half the fucking checkouts are self checkout.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rooting for Walmart to keep being salty about people stealing and going, fine, we're gonna do this subscription thing where you have to pay for the self checkout. And it's like, okay, as long as they reopen registers, because
Yeah.
then they gotta hire the cashiers, and the cashiers gotta do stuff.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to the this generation don't want to work. It's like, does this generation not want to work, or has this generation seen our parents and grandparents get treated like shit? And in turn, once we enter the workforce, we get treated like shit. What's the fucking point? You're gonna treat me like shit. You're not gonna pay me well. You're not gonna pay me what I'm worth. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck do I want to work for you? There's no benefit.
Yeah, and
I can't be that fucking company man anymore.
well, yeah, and companies aren't even built to be that way.
Huh?
Like, who's a company man for fucking Walmart or a grocery store, or like even companies
Mm-hmm.
that do want you to be a company man. They're always like trying to copy Amazon or copy fucking Google or whatever, and just trying to cut the you know basically cut their like anything that makes their production pump up just another percentage or whatever. And it's like, for what? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you've turned your place of work into a place that has constant turnaround now, and
Mm-hmm.
you've ruined the work culture.
And the people that you want to work for you don't want to work for you because they see how you treat your employees.
Yep, it's
Of
a
course.
it's
Yeah,
a
you're gonna
huge
have a
thing.
lot of turnaround.
Yeah,
And guess what? That means you're gonna be losing money. I don't know.
yeah,
I I like to think that I am a pretty hard worker and I can just kind of push my way through whatever is in my way to get the job done.
right.
I can be angry, I could be having the worst day of my life, but you come deal with me at my counter, I'm going to give you a smile. I'm going to do my best to do what I can do. But after a while, it gets real hard to do that. It gets kind of demeaning. Is you can go to a manager and be like, hey, I'm not trying to cause problems. Or you can even go to the other person if it doesn't work with them. You can go to your manager and they won't do anything about it. They don't give a shit. They're just trying to get through their day too. Because there's no benefit for them to help. It's just more drama, more stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course people aren't wanting to work. I'm actually noticing a lot more people doing things that they want to do rather than things that they feel like they have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy too cuz like we're in a I mean the we're at a point in the economy where I think there are more people who are like getting laid off right now in like the tech industry, I
Yeah.
think. Um and yet like still people are like it's time for me to try this thing. I'm going to, try this. I'm going to try that. I mean, I'm that's what I'm doing right now this year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, more power to everyone willing to do that. I mean, my sister's doing that. And I remember at first I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." Like, you know, but then I thought about it. I'm like, "You know what? No, actually, cuz I want to do the same thing where I want to try not to fucking work some dead end job or whatever." So,
Right.
I started rooting for my sister and just, checking on her every now and then to see how she's doing with that. And, you know, uh, I think like one thing I foresee people doing more of is like, gig working rather than full time kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks because the gig economy is mostly a large thing in I think like big cities. So it will be a little harder for you and I, especially me, because I'm 20 minutes away from our biggest town. You know,
Right.
you're right in it though, so you could do that, and but yeah, like the gig economy thing, still where we're at, it hasn't caught up. Um, anyways, there was a point I wanted to bring up. Did I ever tell you about this video I saw that talked about the history of like the workday and like how work was seen in general?
Hit me with it.
It is such a crazy thing because like, so have you ever heard about the concept about how like the medieval peasant technically worked less than we do, or we did in my case, but like do in your case, like the 40-hour work week, and like,
I no, I hadn't.
okay, so you know I mean, the logic is all there with like, obviously they worked during the uh like the harvest season, and spring, they were farming, and you know uh that, the farm work. And
Right.
since it's seasonal, they would have periods off. But like one thing that's crazy is like they had like long breaks in the middle of their day to take like naps, and like they had like multiple long periods of eating, and uh stuff like that, where like our day is work, you get 30 minutes to eat, maybe an hour if you're at one of those jobs, and most of us will look at an hour lunch and be like, so I have to fucking stay here another 30 minutes, what the fuck,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
can fucking I can't be home.
Yeah, well, I think some places, like if you have a car or whatever, like if you have an hour lunch you
Yeah.
could drive home, but it's like, how long does, that's just like another 5 minutes, or wasting 5 minute commute time, wasting gas, all that stuff. But
Right.
yeah, so for the longest time in the medieval period, they worked like that. And it wasn't till like the Industrial Revolution where capitalism basically created the watch and the clock. And capitalists who, had people working at their facilities and stuff, uh, tried to make it where like, you know, um, basically it was like, fuck your watch, my watch is right. And people would like change their clock, and like people would design the clock for it to like uh basically take more time to like change the hand or whatever, so that they could get their people to work longer at the factory, because it's like,
Oh.
no, it's not 2 o'clock yet. It still says it's one, but it had actually been like, an extra 10 minutes or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
the YouTube video is called I think it's Historia Civilis. It's a really interesting watch. So if anyone wants to check that out, I suggest you check that out too, Alex, because like it was one of those things I heard and it like infuriated me. Especially because we're dudes that are super into like medieval period stuff. It was like, oh man, so you're saying there was a point where we had this figured out, and that some fucking shitheaded capitalist was like, no, we're gonna use clocks, we're gonna use time and commoditize it, and look, now our country is so fucked up from it because like
Oh yeah.
Europe is not even like as fucked up as we are when it comes to time and stuff. Like it's always go go go, here where you know my girlfriend brought it up the other day where there's people that will get mad when you're like not walking fast enough, or you know if you're standing up, or if you're sitting down at the job. That's bad work ethic, you know
Yeah,
so it's
if
like
you're leaning
you
against the wall.
yeah, you gotta you gotta stand at the register, you can't sit at the register, you know
Like, no,
um
motherfucker, I'm fat.
well, there's a
This
lot of
hurts.
yeah, there's a lot of people who are old, you know
Yeah.
and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, yeah, you could have like, you know, I mean, the way I've been doing this, I freaking uh, I sit for 4 hours to stream, and I'm like, I gotta stand up, like it's the
Yeah.
opposite. Where if I had to do this for 8 hours, I would definitely be getting up and trying to do stuff more,
Yeah,
So
dude, we've been only doing this for just under an hour, I want to say, and my ass is asleep.
yeah, 52 minutes by the way. I got a session
Uh,
timer on here, so
oh, okay.
and
I get you.
also it did show that there was a second person in here, but came in here, but they didn't type anything. So we've been good.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're still there, hey,
Yeah,
thank you for listening.
yeah. My theory was that it was Jay because she tried to call me right before I saw the viewer thing come in.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's one of those crazy things because like, man, I like to tell people, especially people who are like right leaning people, that I'm a capitalist because technically, I own a company and I own a house and I do engage in the stock market a little bit. And like, I could
Hmm.
see how I could benefit from that. But there's so much where, like, if it came down to it and there was actually an opportunity to flip the entire system on its head and do something with more social safety nets and, less commoditizing our time, um,
Hmm.
I'd be all for it. Now, I don't know how much of this this discussion you're ready for when it comes to the idea of like, like communism and socialism and like whether or not you would trust our government to do that, because I feel like that's like a Doug and James thing for sure. And, you know,
Hmm.
but I personally, I think those kind of systems sound great, but I can't trust, like,
You can't trust the people in charge.
yeah, I get it. It's one of those things where, God, this if we ever get in trouble, this might be one of those moments. But like, obviously, you can't like in a system where you're trying to like, have a revolution, and that's like those are those kind of cases. Of course, people gotta go. Like, you need to make sure the people that are oil lobbyists today are not still trying to lobby for oil in this new system.
Yeah.
That's why when people talk about like the Stalinist regime, the Leninist regime, the Maoist regime, all these like times people tried to, do socialism and then change to communism and all that. They killed a lot of people. And it's like, yeah, they were killing the people that thought differently than them because they were going to ruin the system they're going for. And also because America, the biggest capitalist country in the world, was also sending, emboldening those people to change things. of course, like this kind of slaughter is going to happen. That doesn't mean I condone it in any way, but it's like, that's the nasty thing about politics is like politics is basically just who gets away with violence.
Well, we're at a point where we don't need to slaughter people. They just have to deal with what they're given.
Right. Except for people do get slaughtered, and
Oh yeah.
that is like, well, it's the machine, it's the monopoly of violence. A cop can, you know pretty much say they have the right to come into your house right now, and you could say no, you don't have a warrant, and he can kick down your door and he could shoot you dead.
Uh,
And would he be in the wrong, as far as the law goes? Absolutely.
But
But
you're gonna hear, oh, I had reasonable suspicion.
yeah, there's going to be so many things. The whole system is on his side, and that's because the government
Uh,
and the law enforcement in that right have the monopoly on violence. You know, it's like it's
right.
crazy because we grew up watching so many movies where the good guys, the rebellion, but we live in the real world where the rebellion is they're terrorists. You know,
Right.
like if the whole January 6th thing has had like happened and those people
Mm-hmm.
actually took over, they wouldn't have been called what do you call them?
QAnon crazies.
Seditionists? Yeah, crazy. Yeah, QAnon crazies for sure. I think seditionists were is another one, but yeah, like
Yeah.
it's crazy because and plenty of people who were right leaning did see them as like revolutionaries or whatever. But
Yeah.
then they would turn around and look at Black Lives Matter protesters, and it's like the same case where those people were protesting for a just cause. But
It's
when you're
all
going
about
up against,
perspective.
yeah, yeah, when you go up against, the big establishment, people who support that establishment are always going to see you as the villain, you know,
Right.
and that rounds out to, just looking at the whole overall idea of what politics is. It is all just violence, but you and I are so far from it that we say, yeah, people don't need to die. And
Right.
it's one of those things that is like it's sad because like it is true. People don't need to die, but that's like the whole idea of politics is violence. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like I mean, even look at Greco-Roman politics and stuff. Like those dudes were like assassinating each other. They were debating each other in the halls, but then assassinating each other, but like between sessions and stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm. Totally.
like I mean, obviously
It is
Julie.
very bloody.
Yeah, yeah, Julius Caesar is our biggest example of that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like I don't even know if they did that between sessions. I think they did that before the session. They're like, you know what, let's just stab this guy.
One guy started, and the other guys were like, "All right, I guess it's time."
Yeah, like that's insane.
Yeah.
And I know we have like written accounts and stuff on what happened, but I really want to know. Like I would like to go back in history and like hear the planning of that and like know what it was that he was saying that they're like, you know what, we need to kill this guy.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Well, they got to write the history,
Yeah.
so
Well, that's the thing too, because people kind of bring that up, like I mean, and another thing that I'm on the other side of, so this is gonna be a fun contrast where people talk about St. Patrick's Day and the whole St. Patrick drove out the snakes, which means he actually killed the pagans.
yeah.
And
Get out of here, witch.
yeah, that whole concept, and I push back always on this
Yeah.
because St. Patrick was well, for one, this was so early on in the what do you call it? I guess the development of Catholicism, that like it was still the Roman army. Like um Saint Patrick was just a Roman soldier when he first met the Irish, and he was like captured by them.
Mhm.
And then after his military career, he tried to move back there to convert them. I don't think he, I don't believe that he tried to be violent because it would just kill him. Because like he couldn't beat them with the fucking Roman army on his side. Now
Right.
without the Roman army, you think he's gonna try killing him?
I'm gonna try my words this time.
Yeah, right. It's like no, I think because he said there's some lucky charms in the Bible and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like hanging out with them over time and trading with them and doing a more of a monastery like system. Uh, he converted a few people, and that over the case of centuries became a fucking Irish Catholic system. Because that's the whole thing. Is like, yeah, in his life, he probably didn't get to see any of the success of what he did. He probably, lived a life being like, yes, I believe in Christ, but you could believe in, Morrigan and freaking Sarah Nunos or whoever. But we'll never know because the people that they talk about didn't have any written records.
Right.
Like that's the same thing with the Druids of, I believe it's like Gallic, France and like those Celts over there. The only person
Mm-hmm.
that really wrote about them was like Julius Caesar and one guy who was like, yeah, they sacrificed people. And it's like, did they, or was that you writing propaganda to be like, yeah, we need to kill these people. They're sacrificing people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I get the skepticism, but I think a lot of, on the contrast of what I was just saying about history, on that, I'm like, I do kind of believe that not necessarily that the Celts were sacrificing people, but that St. Patrick was a non-violent uh conversion guy.
Deity. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so we hit an hour so far. Just you and me. We do
We done it.
yeah, we done
We
it.
done did it.
Yeah. What I feel bad about is like I know there was like subjects Doug brought up that I was like, I'm gonna bring it up. And this was
Yeah.
like 2 hours ago. And as soon as we hit record and had tried to figure out how we were gonna do this whole session, I was like, oh, I forgot what it was.
Right. I can this week I can go over what I have here. Well, what I have recorded, try to piece it together and write it down so we can try to bring it up for the next session. It's little key points. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose maybe I should save Doug's talking points for when Doug's on the podcast.
right, right.
So
Which will hopefully be soon here.
yeah, hopefully we'll record soon. But I guess
It'll be
until
nice to get all
then,
the boys together.
yeah. Oh, when is um James gonna be home? Do you know?
I do not. I do not. I was. Oh, I can. I'll probably message him today.
Yeah, I feel like
For
they're on
sure.
their way back.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. But I miss the boys. I miss the homies. Hence missing the homies.
Yep. Yep. And yeah, in that case, I gotta give my ferret her medicine. And this has
Okay.
been yeah, this has been hanging with the hooligans, and thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe and check out Chuck Bailey's book at Amazon. It'll be in the link in the description.
Oh, thanks for
Thank you
that.
for listening. No problem.